Hey YouTube, Olivewood Piper here. You know, when my children were young, I tried to give them some insight into their actions and tell them that every action has a reaction, positive or negative. And my son always tested me. From the time he was 5 years old, I would tell him, don't do that. You do that, this is going to happen. Don't worry, Dad. Everything's fine. Sure enough, whatever I said came to fruition. And the reason why I knew that is because as a kid, I had done a lot of things that had consequences. And two things come to mind. Talk about lessons learned. I was a kid about 6 or 7 years old, playing in the street with a friend of mine, my next door neighbor. And down the street from us, mostly on our block, we had single family homes or two family homes. But at the very corner, there was an apartment building, multi-dwelling building. And occasionally, the caretaker or the maintenance guy or super, whatever you want to call him, would come down the street, go into the store to purchase something. We'd say hello to him. He seemed like a nice guy. He would say hello back, you know. And one day, he's coming up the street and he says, you know, how would you guys like to come and play ball with my children? And I thought, that'd be great. You know, there's only two of us. We could use a bunch of kids to play ball. So he takes us up to the apartment building. We go down in the basement. You think I would have known any better, but here we go. We go down in the basement. This guy's got a whole family down there. They live there. So he's got a bunch of kids in there. Well, the basement was huge, so we start playing ball. And we're having a great time, you know, and all of a sudden, my friend says, I need to go home. And I said, well, what do you need to go home? We're having a good time. And no, I need to go home, you know. I said, well, okay. I said, I'm going to stay, play ball. Little did I know, my friend goes home, tells his father that this guy took the two of us into his basement. And I'm still there. Well, my next door neighbor was a little left of center. He was a very volatile kind of guy. He goes over and gets my dad. And the next thing I know, there's banging on the door of the basement. The guy opens up the door. There's my dad standing there and my next door neighbor with a baseball bat in his hand. And they come in. They want to know what the hell is going on. Why am I there? What's this guy doing? Blah, 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 you know. The guy explains, you know, I just asked the kids if they wanted to play with my children, this, that, and the other thing. So basically my dad and the neighbor said to him, you know, that's a pretty crazy thing to do, taking two children off the street, bringing them down to the basement of the building without their parents knowing about it. Well, ultimately, everything was settled amicably. So the guy felt bad about the whole situation, so he gives me the bat and the ball. He said, why don't you take this home? I really appreciate you spending time with my kids, this, that, and the other thing. Well, all the way home, my dad was lighting into me, just ripping me a new one. You know, how could I be so stupid? How could they, you know, what did I know? We didn't have those kinds of problems when I was a kid. Anyway, I get home. There's my mom. She said, what were you thinking? This, and I said, well, I wasn't thinking. I was just thinking about playing ball, you know. She said, what do you have over there? I said, well, I got the bat and the ball that the guy gave me. She said, well, let me see the ball. So I showed her the ball. She took a knife from the kitchen and cut the ball in half. And then she said, let me see the bat. I gave her the bat. And I caught the bat across the back of my legs. And she said, for the next 2 weeks, you're confined to the backyard by yourself so that you can think about what you did, the selfish thing that you did, and the grief that you caused us, and the concern that you caused us. I have to say they were right. Second situation. I told you about my friend Richie in the past. He was kind of a heavy-set kid, you know, and a lot of things we did he couldn't do easily. So we go back to the apartment building again. We always used to cut through the courtyard. And whenever we cut through the courtyard, the new maintenance guy there would chase us. You know, we didn't do any harm. We didn't spray graffiti. We didn't do anything wrong. We just used it as a cutoff to get to the other side of the block. Anyway, this particular day, it had rained. It was in the summer. And we cut through the apartment building. Well, surrounding this apartment building was a wrought iron fence. The pickets on this fence looked like the spears they used in Spartacus. It was unbelievable. Today it would be illegal to have this. Well, this guy's chasing us. My friend Richie's in front of me. We're trying to get over the fence so the guy doesn't catch us. Richie can't get over the fence. I'm pushing him. Finally I get him over the fence. Now I'm climbing. I get halfway over the fence and I slip because it's wet. And I land on the picket. The picket pierces me in the side and I am stuck on the fence. The guy finally catches up with us. He sees me stuck on the fence. He freaks out. He wants to call the police. He wants to call the paramedics. I said, oh, just get me off here. So he lifts me up off the fence. And I never forget, I had a t-shirt on. And we proceed to walk home. Well, I'm bleeding like a stuck pig now. So we're walking home. And I see my grandmother sitting out on her porch. She lived a couple of doors away from us. And I said to my friends, get around me. Don't let my grandmother see me bleeding. She'll freak out. And I'm just going to go in, tell my mother, you know, I had a little accident, this, that, and the other thing. I never forget it. I get in the house, open the door. My mother yells, don't come in, I'm waxing the floors. I said, Mom, I just need you to take a look at my back. I got a scratch on it. And, you know, if you can clean it, put some antiseptic. What were you doing? I said, oh, we were playing. Yeah. She takes a look at my back. She said, good God, you have a hole in your back. She gets a hold of my next door neighbor, puts me in a vehicle, takes me to the hospital. Stitches. The picket missed my lung by about an inch. That was the end of my summer. I had that darn bandage on the entire summer. I couldn't go swim and I couldn't do anything. But again, the stupidity of a child. And again, this is why I tell my kids some of the stupid things I did and the consequences that I paid because of that. But throughout my son's life, I can tell you, as many times as I told stories to him, he had to find out for himself. And I guess that's the way kids are. Kids need to explore. Kids need to challenge. And ultimately, they suffer the consequences. So Fortunately, I don't think my kids were as mischievous as I was when I was a kid, and thank God, because I don't think I'd have the patience to deal with some of the things that my parents dealt with. But in any event, I just wanted to share some of those childhood stories with you. And thanks for watching. And again, health and happiness to you and yours. Have a good evening. Thank you.